Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Non-League Heroes podcast. With me, your host, Dan Walkley. It's just me this week with one very, very special guest coming up. I do want to start this episode, however, with a bit of sad news. Our condolences to the friends, family and all at Hallam FC on the passing of referee Uriah Rennie. Uriah Rennie was a Premier League referee back in the 90s and early 2000s and was also the honorary president of Hallam FC in Sheffield. So our deepest condolences on the passing of Uriah. We have seen a whole host of player movements in the last week or so, although the forms aren't out for most of the divisions up and down the non-league pyramid. There's been some player movements. There's been some big moves. So, keep your eye on our social media channels for the latest news on that. Obviously, Non-League Heroes on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And also our website as well, which is now live, with thanks to Jamie Tarrant at New Milton. He's done a very, very good job on that website. So go and check that out. That is nonleagueheroes.com. You can see all our back episodes on there, all the way from episode 1 where we had Jake Tabor on, all the way to this episode 27. Go check it out. We also will be posting non-league jobs on there, any that we see come along. So if you are a club and looking for any volunteers, any internships, and please do let us know and we can add that also onto the website. Ones we have added in the past couple of days, social media wise, is Kimpbury Rangers, who have just been promoted to the Wessex League, Wessex Division 1. So they are looking for a social media person. Also Chesham United and Newport Pagnell as well, just to name a few. So some very exciting clubs there actually looking for some social media people. So if you're looking to get into it, these are great opportunities to work with brilliant clubs. So get in touch with us and we can get in touch with their contacts or their social media managers, or get in contact with them directly. And of course, if you are looking to get into non-league football at a volunteer level, at a paid internship level, then just reach out to your local club. I mean, any volunteers that go to a local club, that your local club's going to be absolutely delighted to welcome you on board. So, yeah. Please do get involved. Please keep this non-league community thriving. We're hoping to continue to do so and push it more into the forefront. So, as I said, contact us if you're looking to get into it. Contact your local club or contact Chesham, Newport Pagnell or Kimpbury Rangers for those examples. And, of course, we do also have our WhatsApp community, which has now surpassed 100 social media admins across non-league football. That's all the way from step 1, all the way down to the feeder league to step 7, step 8, up and down the country. It's a thriving community. It's daily football chat. It's daily nonsense, to be honest. But there's a lot of ideas going in there. And in the post-season and obviously pre-season coming up, there'd be a lot of ideas being bounced around and a lot of knowledge shared. So, yeah, definitely join us for that. And again, please do get in touch and we'll be delighted to welcome you in. So a bit of downtime for everyone, which is always nice. So enjoy the break. But if you are struggling, as I know a lot of people are, then please do keep busy. Take time to enjoy the rest. We're weeks away now from pre-season. So stick it out, keep strong and keep looking forward to pre-season. So this week's guest sits on the board of directors at Chesham United and also sits on a significantly smaller throne than Greg Davis on Channel 4's Taskmaster. He is, of course, the creator of Taskmaster, Alex Horne.
Hello, Dan. Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
I mean, I'm always slightly nervous talking about non-league football because I do sit on the board at Chesham, but I'm not very knowledgeable. I really enjoy it. But I don't know things. But you can ask me anything, Dan.
Yeah, well, I mean, the passion is what keeps most non-league clubs going. So the most knowledgeable isn't always the best, right?
In fact, at Chesham, a lot of the best fans don't even watch the games. Like my wife goes along, never even looks at the pitch, but she buys a lot of beer, and that's what keeps the club running.
It is, yeah, definitely. The bar and the burger van. That's the best thing, isn't it?
At Chesham United, we're in a tricky situation that in our league you can drink beer on the terraces. If we go up, you can't. So there's some people who won't be celebrating in promotion.
No, absolutely. That's the beauty of non-league, though, isn't it? You can stand there, with your mates. You can watch a beer in front of the game, and yeah, it's just a really nice atmosphere. Rather than, like I said, when you go up, there's a lot more restrictions in place, which obviously hinders the club and the supporters. So,
yeah, I agree. I think I would challenge anyone to have a bad time at a non-league football match. It's so good because you can wander around. There's never any trouble at Chesham United anyway. You can drink as much as you want. It's always good.
Yeah, I totally agree. So just for those listening, what is your role at Chesham?
Good question, Dan. I don't really know. I was asked to be on the board a couple of years ago because I do a few events there. So I filmed Taskmaster there a couple of times, and I've done events where I've got lots of people into the club. So the chairman, Peter Brown, said, can I come on and basically represent the club in the media, do more events? So I'm sort of a figurehead, non-financial, just there. I attend board meetings, and I'm just trying to get people through the door and shout about the club. So I do every podcast I can. I do every bit of media. I try to mention Chesham United. That's my main job.
Yeah, well, I mean, exposure is massive, isn't it, for a non-league side, especially if the club doesn't have a lot of money to spend on their media and their marketing. And I suppose where Chesham is, there's there's a lot of clubs in such a small area as well. So to pull people away from those other clubs to come to Chesham, that's obviously a massive, massive task. So I've seen your attendances go up. The average has gone up quite a lot, hasn't it, in the last few years?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know we're over 600 every week now, and often over 1,000. And it used to be more like 250, and it means we can function. You know, that will get us enough money to pay the players. But you're right. When the Premier League don't play, you know, on non-league weekend, our attendances go up massively because everyone's normally off to Watford or Chelsea or Brentford or even Wickham. So yeah, it's trying to persuade people in the local area to come along. It's not a huge town. If 1,000 every week is our dream, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's massive anyway. Like you said, you've got big football league clubs around your area, so to get 1,000 through the gate at Step 2 is brilliant. But obviously, it is your first season in Step 2 last year, and I think a very well respected 13th place in the first season is probably more than you thought you would achieve last year. Was that the goal to stay in the division? Or?
Absolutely. We started slowly. We lost a lot, but only by one goal. So it was pretty nerve-wracking at the beginning. And then we suddenly started motoring on, and actually we lost our last 4 games. I think we could have easily been 9th. I think we were close to the top of the less professional teams. You know, we're very much semi-professional, whereas some teams in our division are fully professional. So we held our own, and great cup run, which is obviously what you want every season. So yeah, it was a good season. People have talked about the difficult second season. I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, I imagine it's difficult any season, but yeah, we'd take that. Obviously, it'd be nice to push for playoffs.
As you said, though, there's so many professional teams in that division, and the division's hard. We saw with the title race going down to the wire, just how many teams are competing for those promotion spaces. So yeah, I think you've done brilliant. But you touched on the FA Cup run. You actually missed that first round game, didn't you?
I did. I was so gutted. It was the first televised game in my Chesham history, and I was up in Edinburgh doing a show. But I did get to go down to the ground a couple of days before with all the cameras and did some, you know, pre-match build-up and took penalties with the players and stuff. So the buzz of it didn't, you know, I enjoyed the buzz of it. But my kids were there, my wife was there, everyone in the town was there. I think we had 4,000 there. You know, it was full. And we held our own again for 41 minutes and then, unfortunately, narrowly beaten 4-0 in the end. But it was so brilliant. And, you know, you have your heart set. You think, we could get through this. And then a couple more, we're going to play Liverpool. And it keeps you going, doesn't it, the cup runs?
Well, that's your dream, isn't it? Liverpool away or Liverpool at home?
Yeah, I mean, if I could choose, I think it'd be at home, wouldn't it? I want Mo
Yeah, I
Salah to
think
be
so.
playing 400 meters from my house. That's what I want.
And so that proximity to your house from Chesham's ground, was that the reason that you kind of got involved with Chesham? Because you were born in Chichester, weren't you? And obviously they play at step 3 as well. So, or when you took over,
Yeah,
Chesham was at step 3.
yeah. I had no experience in non-league football before Chesham, so I actually grew up in a place called Midhurst, who had a Saturday team, but
Yeah.
I don't know what step that is. There's a lot. It might be triple figures, really. So I never went, and then I started having these. I've got 3 male children who are all massively into football. So we started going a little bit when they were young. I went to the Bristol match. I think it was 2000. Oh, what was it? Must have been 14. We beat Bristol City in the FA Cup. We won the Giant Killers of the Year award, and yeah, we won 1-0 over there. And I took my son to that. He must have been 4. That was his first experience at Cheshire, and I absolutely loved it. And went up to Bradford for the next round, where again we narrowly beat them 4-0. So yeah, since my kids have come along and they all play for Chesham United youth, I kind of started going a lot more before being involved. So yeah, before it's just fun, and now it's fun and some responsibility, but mainly fun.
No, I mean, it's brilliant to keep it like that, because for me, non-league is a massively family-orientated thing. Yeah. And to bring, like you said, your children through the youth setup, and now obviously they watch Chesham United on a Saturday as well. It must be brilliant for yourself and kind of the town and the club to be that family-orientated community space.
It is. Well, one thing that's happened, which I'm not taking credit for, but in the last couple of years, we've put Taskmaster on the shirts, and it means we do sell more, because it's a bit of a merchandise, I suppose. It's that for one reason or another, people buy them more. So you now see Chesham shirts in the town a lot more. You see people walking up. We never used to, really, and you see them all around the world as well, because we've got lots of international fans through the program. And now the kids, because of that, I think they're sort of prouder to be Chesham fans. So my kids will say they are Chesham and Liverpool fans, and often say Chesham first, because they watch them every week. Whereas Liverpool, they might see them twice a season if they're lucky. So I think they've realised it's actually cooler to support your local club, but also more fun, because you can get close to the pitch. You meet the players in the bar afterwards. You're not getting close to any of these Premier League teams anymore. They're great. And also, we're not from Liverpool, obviously. No. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed the growth in the town, and kids running up to me or whatever, wearing their Chesham kits with pride rather than embarrassment. I think sometimes it can be a bit of a joke, non-league football, but it really isn't. Once you put your time in, it's great.
I totally agree, and I think post-COVID, I'm kind of, I don't know if it's my perception, but seeing a shift in. Especially younger supporters, more going to their local games rather than just sat at home watching their Premier League teams, because you do get that sense of you can meet the players in the bar after. There's more of a community. You're representing your town rather than you're supporting the same team as your mates, basically. Because let's be honest, everyone's got different Premier League teams, no matter where you live. So that's quite a nice thing as well.
Absolutely. And also, I think football is really boring sometimes. Premier League match, a 0-0, watching a Premier League match at home is so boring. Or if you're sat in a seat, most clubs, you're sat in a seat. Like when I go to Wycombe, we used to go to Wycombe quite often. Lovely club. But if it's not a great game, you're sat in your chair looking at this. You can't move around. Whereas at Chesham United, there are no chairs. There's 250 chairs, but kids run around. They buy their chocolate. They're in a safe environment. They can watch the match if they want. They can shout if they want. They can learn chants. The language is still not perfect, but it's better than it was. And I don't mind them seeing a bit of, rougher stuff, because it tends to be done with good humour. So yeah, they love that. They would prefer to go to Anfield, but apart from that, they love an afternoon at the Meadow.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And my club as well, Tadley down in Hampshire, we're seeing a lot of that now with the local schools. The kids coming through, and I think it's brilliant, because you need that next generation of supporters coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I would say our challenge is making it regular for the kids, on a cold, wet Saturday. I mean, obviously an 8:00 Tuesday night isn't ideal for an 8-year-old. But also we have our women's team who are brilliant. The women's team are in the 4th division playing against the likes of Fulham and QPR. But we haven't got good enough numbers there yet. So we're trying to push that a lot, especially with schools, because it's a lovely game to watch. There isn't the bad language at the women's for some reason. So hopefully with the Euros this summer, that might get numbers up. But we're trying to, that's our next phase, is working on the women's team a bit more.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on the women's team because, like as you say, you are playing Premier League, established Premier League teams and Football League teams. Obviously, you've got Fulham, QPR, Norwich. Obviously, Fulham and QPR being quite local to you. Do you see the growth of the women's game a very important role now in non-league? Because the Euros 4 years ago, there was a big spike after that, and now with the Euros again this year, there's going to be another massive spike, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it should be. I hope so. So Dulwich Hamlets are in our league, and they have a huge following. So they came, and I watched their game against us this season, and they must have brought 250, and maybe we had 80 or something. And it was really inspiring. You think it can be done. You know, those people are watching that team. They're not watching the men's team necessarily. So you've just got to tell the story. So, our story this season in the women's is going to be, can we survive? We came 3rd from bottom this season. So 2 teams below us went down, which means that we're going to be up against it. And I think that's a really interesting story. It means every point we get matters. But it's just trying to get the habit. And can we persuade Chesham to go out on a Saturday and a Sunday to watch non-league football? I'm not sure. But we need to try to at least tell people the games are on. You know, I think people forget. So...
Yeah, it needs the same level as of kind of exposure, doesn't it? Especially if you are playing at home Saturday and then the women's are Sunday, because, as you say, that's a big commitment for people. But I guess if the first team are away, maybe, and the women's are at home on a Sunday, that would be the perfect blend. So
that's a very good point. And I should say as well, I do a comedy match every year in May on the pitch, where it's me and some comedians, and then 4 male players and 4 women's players. And the standard of both teams is so high. So when people come and watch that match, they see the women play and go, "Oh my God, they're so much better than any of these comedians. They're as good as the men." And I think there is still a stigma. People still, whether we like it or not, I think there is still this view that women's football isn't as good as men's. But I think it's like tennis. You know, it is a different pace. But women's tennis I love women's tennis because it's less power. You know, men's rallies tend to be over in 2. And I think it's the same with football. It's just as good a game. You just have to adjust to it slightly, but they're so skillful and they're so committed and so strong. So yeah, I'm trying to push that a lot this year.
Yeah, I was going to say it's people say it's a different game, but I kind of understand that in terms of, like you said, the pace. It's a lot more technical, I find, the women's game, especially non-league level, where I don't know, maybe step 3, 4. The men's game is powerful. There's big players, whereas the women's game is a lot more technical. And I think that's aiding the growth of it as well, where the players are becoming a lot better, especially on the ball, and it's nicer to watch. Yeah,
I'd also say I don't have any daughters, but this is the time. If you've got daughters, if they're interested in football, get them to the games, push them, because there's so many opportunities still in the women. You know, it's going to get more and more overcrowded. Whereas, I mean, my sons, if they want to be professional footballers, you know, you're playing against every single boy in the country. But the women's game is growing really quickly. But there's a couple of players I know from Chesham. One plays for Arsenal, one for Tottenham, one for England schoolgirls, and she's absolutely brilliant. But it's really exciting to see the progress you can make in that area.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's important for a lot of not just non-league clubs, but maybe towns as well, where there is only like one team, to really dive into the women's game and bring that exposure, because it is then opening up a whole new avenue for girls in that area. So I think it's very important for clubs to be doing that. So that's great. Going back to your comedy football trophy, when we spoke, obviously we've got a large WhatsApp group, Non-League Heroes. There was a few comments or a few questions to say, are you looking to expand it, or are you going to keep it at Chesham? Because obviously the growth and the attendances have been huge. People absolutely love it.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny. No one's asked me that. And I did have this sort of, I was sat in the bath after the game, because the game is loads of work. It takes me so much time to persuade the comics to do it, make everything happen. There's a team of people helping me. at Chesham, but it's quite exhausting. And I always say before the game, I'm never doing this again. And as soon as the game finishes, you go, you've got to do it again. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I did have this sort of pipe dream that we could, ask Wickham if we could do it there one year, and then either move it around or, why not Wembley, that sort of thing. I've been to Soccer Aid, and I like Soccer Aid, but it's quite straight, and there's not a lot of humour in it. And I think there's something in this game, seeing comedians muck about, and there's no fouls, or there are lots of fouls actually, but they're all sort of done in good taste. So yeah, there are plans to expand it. I don't know what. I mean, I also wouldn't want to take it away from Chesham because it brings loads of people to the town, and it'd have to be in conjunction with that. But half the money goes to the club, half to local charities. So it's only a good thing. So if we could sell 15,000 tickets, then I think it would be brilliant. So maybe there are plans, but they are very much in early stages.
Yeah, of course. Who's the best player this season? This year at least. Who was the best player?
Well, annoyingly, there's a guy called Tim Key, who is my friend and comedian colleague, who scored a cracking volley this year. Matt Bainton's a good player from Horrible Histories and Ghosts. Maisie Adam scores every year. She's scored every year so far. She's a good player. So we do a crossbar challenge. If you score, you can convert the goal into 2 goals with a crossbar challenge, which is a rule that should be in all football. It's brilliant. And she was the only one who actually hit the crossbar, including all the Chesham United players.
Really?
There's a lot of very bad players as well, by the way. I wouldn't want to list them, but Mark Watson is appalling.
Because did Russell Howard play? Because he obviously used to play semi-professional, didn't he? Back in the day.
Yeah, he played very useful. He had a good game. You could see he was always looking out to pass it to a Chesham United player, to a proper footballer, try to get a decent move going. So he's got skills. And actually, he's local to Chesham now as well. So I'm trying to get him down to a few more games. Yeah,
I mean, that'd be great. It's a good link to have, especially obviously with his experience in the game as well. If you could have, though, 5 footballers on the Taskmaster special, who would they be?
Okay. Well, look, we had David James.
Yeah,
David's done it. He did the Christmas one, and it was a real play. He was exactly what you want him to be. He was eccentric and a bit mad and competitive. But I think I'm done with goalkeepers now. So I'm going to go Jurgen Klopp. I'll have Messi. I'll have just to annoy Ronaldo. We won't have Ronaldo. I guess we'll have Megan, the American one. What's her surname?
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe.
Rapinoe, yeah, because I think she would give Greg some stick. I think that would be fun. I don't know much about her, but I like that she seems to wind some people up. I think that's good. I mean, genuinely, I'm so sorry to go for a Liverpool bias, but Virgil van Dijk is the coolest man in the world, and maybe Robertson. He's quite chippy and funny.
Yeah,
so
it would be interesting. Definitely.
Yeah, and there's no Chesham players in that mix. But I'm just being honest with you. I'm being honest. I'm looking for viewing figures as well.
Yeah, 100%. No, that would definitely be worth the watch, I think, because you've seen a lot of obviously with Soccer Aid coming up this weekend. You've had a lot of kind of like the game shows doing Soccer Aid specials, so that could be a great one in the pipeline for sure.
Yeah, we tried to do something with the England team once, and I think it might happen in the future. Where was it? I think Wolves do their own Taskmaster. It was on their YouTube channel for a bit. So some footballers are aware of the show. But getting near the England team, I designed some tasks. We were all set to do it, and hopefully it'll happen. But we weren't allowed to do any tasks that involved kicking, in case they got injured. Really? And I had all these clever ones trying to get the most balls into the goal from the other end and all this. But no, it can't involve kicking, so it will involve something stupid with food or something. But I hope it happens.
Or get them to sing a song in front of a stranger. That was one of my favourites.
Hilarious. Yeah, that would be a good one. Some of them would do it. I don't know. They're a funny breed, footballers.
Yeah, well, even all the way down into non-league as well.
Yeah.
They are a special breed for sure. Just going back to the football, though, you've obviously got Tashan Gallimore, who captained the Cayman Islands in the week against Jamaica, a Jamaican team of the likes of Damari Gray, obviously Leon Bailey. How is that kind of perceived within the club to have an international captain, obviously at non-league level?
Yeah, it's brilliant. We had, there are flags on the stands, and everyone asks, you see the away teams asking who that's for. And I guess it shows that I always think there's quite small margins between non-league footballers and definitely League Two footballers. And I've been on the pitch with some of our guys, but even just watching them, when you watch them warm up, and they look incredible. And, a lot of it comes down to fitness and strength, which comes with training, which our guys don't have the time to do. So I think there's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. So I guess, having an international footballer does show anything's possible. And, with the story of Vardy going from non-league to the top of the Premier League, I like to think our players believe that whilst it's great playing for Chesham, it could lead somewhere even more exciting.
Yeah. Do you see any potential in some of your younger players to do that? Because obviously Wickham being around the corner, they bring in a lot of non-league players, or have done in the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't particularly want to name names. I don't want people to get poached. But,
of course.
Basically, what happens is anytime you've got a really good player, it's really hard to keep hold of them. That's kind of it. And, the money we pay isn't as much as people even in the same league as us, let alone the leagues above. So, we try to keep it quiet if we've got someone good. We'd rather not. Yeah.
No, but it is great for the club to develop those players and see them move on. But you talk about the money in football. It's not just leagues above that have got loads and loads of money. It's filtering down now. I mean, you look at the likes of Farnham, who've got back-to-back promotions. You look at, obviously, the Real Bedfords. Hashtag done it years ago. There's a lot of money in non-league football now, and it's kind of altering the levels in which players play at now, because obviously you've seen a lot drop down to get that paycheck. What's your thoughts on that? Because obviously you've not gone into Chesham for a business kind of money wise.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people quite often mention Wrexham to me, saying, "Are you trying to do that? Are you trying to do a Wrexham?" Which I'm really not, because it's firstly, I haven't got their money, unfortunately. But also, I live in Chesham, and we haven't got Netflix behind us. And this is a genuine project because, I love the club and I live here. But, we have thought about investing in it. The trouble is you're not going to get that money back. I mean, I do put money in, but to actually go full on investment, I think you need to be a business. You need to have a plan. But we're looking, I think you're right. We need investment in the club if you want to go to the next level. Part of me thinks if we can keep it running by getting 600 to 1,000 people every week, that's a healthier way of doing it. I'm not quite sure someone swooping in and giving a non-league club £2 million. I'm not sure that's the answer, because it changes the balance. What I'd also say is, in the old days, you'd have former Premier League players playing for non-league teams, and it still happens occasionally. But we had Grobbelaar and Mark Lawrenson play for Chesham, and I do wish that would happen. Yeah, a long time ago. Grobbelaar only played 4 times, but I'd love that to happen more, because I'm surely these players, lots of them love the game, and if they could turn out for their local club once they retired, it would get the numbers up. They'd have a laugh. It'd be a good story. So that. I don't know how to. If there's any ex-pros watching, you're very welcome to Chesham.
I think that's a brilliant thing to bring up as well, because, you don't, like you say, you don't really see it now. But going back, I don't know, what was it, 10 years, where there were stories of Paul Scholes turned out for his local side on a Sunday morning. I know Joe Cole had a game at Belstone because he knew the manager. But I don't know if you remember. I can't remember how long ago it was, but Wembley FC signed on the likes of Ray Parlour and I think maybe Lee Dixon and a couple of others, because their ground, they're in our division, but in the north, in the combined counties north at step 5. But their ground, you can see the arches from their ground. So they, in their extra preliminary FA Cup game, they had the likes of Parlour and all those guys playing for them Obviously, it was a project, but it's brilliant for them to do because they clearly still love the game and want to be involved in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it all comes down to money. Like, we try to persuade some people to play in our charity game, but they tend to get paid to turn out for these things, which would take all our money. So I think it's relying on getting to know them personally and going around their agents. So David James actually said he would play in our one, but he was away this time. So I'm hoping to get him next time. So, but I think it's sort of asking for favours and hoping for the best.
Yeah. I guess they've got to have an affiliation, to the area or to someone they know within the club.
Yeah.
Because like you say, the fees are a lot, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Dave Besant's son played for us for a couple of seasons in goal. So we've got a link there. You know what? It's just hard. I've just got to pull my finger out and ask them.
Yeah, I mean, the worst they can say is no, right?
Yeah.
One question I did have, and this is maybe a pipe dream for Chesham, but if you did get to the FA Trophy final or in a few seasons a Wembley playoff final, a Horne section going to be recording the Wembley song? Is that going to be played out at Wembley?
I mean, definitely. We played at Wembley before in the Amateur Cup in the 60s. I can't remember what year. Lost 1-0 and missed a penalty as well. So, we would love to, because the Horne section always play at the charity game. And I did releases. Well, I recorded a song this year for our FA Cup run, a version of Reasons to be Cheerful, Reasons to be Chesham by Ian Jury. And if we'd gone further, we were all set to do a proper recording of it. So, yeah, definitely. Even if we get to round 2, there'll be a single coming out.
It's coming out.
Yeah,
well, for a charity single, get it to number 1. You never know.
You never know.
People love it. Because obviously we were at non-league finals day last month in May, and Subs actually got involved with Whitstable Town in the FA Vars to record their Wembley song, and I couldn't get it out of my head for about a week. It was so catchy. So I mean, I think it's great to have. So hopefully you get far in the FA Cup this year, and we can hear that.
Yeah, that's another reason for the players to compete. They can finally get the Horne section to Wembley.
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously, I know you're recording the next season of Taskmaster as we speak. So I really appreciate
in the caravan at the moment. There's stuff happening out of this window I can't show you because it's top secret. So yeah.
No, well, I really, really appreciate your time, Alex. And I wish you well for Chesham moving forward, and obviously your second season at Step 2. And hopefully you can replicate the FA Cup run as well. Yeah,
thanks, Dan. Good luck to your team. Can you remind me what the name of it is? Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, we are Tudley Cleaver, down in Hampshire. It's Step 5. So,
okay. Us. What's your average gate?
Well, this season we had 95 average.
That's not bad for Step 5, is it?
And to be fair, we're in a town with no train station. The buses don't run after 9 o'clock, and there's no taxis. Brilliant. So we're doing all right. You're
up against it. All right. Well, maybe I'll see you in the FA Cup preliminaries. You never know.
Let's hope so. Let's hope we get that far.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate that. Good luck with the recording.
Pleasure. Cheers, Dan. Good to see you.
Take care. Thanks. Alex Horne there, Chesham director and obviously Taskmaster creator. Brilliant episode again. A man who really loves his non-league football, who's really hopefully going to take Chesham United to be an established Step 2 side, and hopefully in the future help take them all the way up into the National League as well. So just want to say thanks all for your continued support for the Non-League Heroes podcast and obviously our social media channels and helping us grow. Do keep an eye out on our socials. We do have an extra piece of media in the works coming up for the new season. So we're busy working on that as well in the background. So please do keep an eye on that. Thank you for joining episode 27. And we will see you all next week.